from Hejka, Capital Global Markets. Anna Hejka, the moderator of the next panel. Please give her a warm round of applause.
I would like to, change the perception, because I'm not only the moderator, I'm also a panelist, but I was nice enough to help the organizers and actually be the devil's advocate and the one provoking our gentlemen, our wonderful foreign guests, to an interesting discussion. So please, welcome Ali, originally from Pakistan, right now working very closely in Dubai. He's a passionate of software and blockchain, and he's working for a very influential company. Lucas, he is a Swiss, and he works for the Swiss government as a diplomat, but he also has a very, very keen interest in blockchain. And I can't remember Kai Long, sorry. He comes from Hong Kong, and he's a researcher. And you already heard my name. I am a commercial banker, investment banker, private equity and venture capitalist, and therefore I have still a different vantage point. So given that I'm a lady, I guess, I'm going to sit in a red chair. So let's start. Gentlemen, I would like to start from a vote and ask a question. Is blockchain the paradigm shift for the world? Can you please say whether you agree and just very shortly say why?
So what I'll say is that it has that particular potential. The technology has the potential to become a paradigm shift, but it is in the evolution stage. So it is yet too early to say that how things will go, but as things look like and the potential that it has, comparing it similar to the internet, it is like in that infancy stage. So 5 years from now or 10 years from now, maybe it might be something without which we cannot live. So,
yeah. Lucas.
I would start with Heraclit. It's a Pantare. Everything flows, and I think maybe the river at the moment is flowing a little bit faster. And there are many drivers for change. You can also see the business. They put in question their business models. I would rather say yes, that it's one of the drivers of an industrial revolution, which also is has many opportunities and risk for individuals, because they will come from a consumer perspective towards a more prosumer perspective, and blockchain can help to have this prosumer landscape make real.
Mm-hmm. I always like to draw a comparison of blockchain with the internet. And if I look at the characteristic of these two, and I guess a lot of us here would agree that internet probably will be considered as a paradigm shift development. I don't exactly see blockchain as being so predominantly superior as compared with what we have today. Obviously, it has a lot of advantages. There are a lot of use cases and applications that potentially it can be valuable. But I don't think it's so unambiguous when we compare it with the internet, which obviously has an advantage for anybody in the world at that time. So in that regard, I would say maybe, but I would tend to say no, okay?
Okay, and I'm going to go on the limb, and I'm going to say yes, it is a paradigm shift. It's just early, but so many people in the 90s were saying internet is not going to be that important. And I cannot say anything different that I say at conferences in Tokyo, Dubai, Singapore, Miami, and Rio de Janeiro. So yes, I do believe that blockchain is a paradigm shift. And the difference, because we've been talking prior to coming here, whether blockchain is just an add-on to intranet. And I believe it's more than that, because it actually increases the freedom. It builds trust. It protects intellectual property. We currently live in a world which is created by creators, the creative class. And if we are unable to protect the intellectual property, which internet in itself wasn't able to do that, then this beautiful future we're building is not going to be that beautiful. Don't you agree?
I think so, but on the other hand, well, the reason why I like to use the internet as an example is because back then the internet basically bridges people. And in that dimension, I think it's unambiguous. You know, regardless of where you are from, which country you're working in, which kind of system you're using, internet always brings advantages to everybody. Blockchain, yes, it does. For people who really desire trust and decentralized application, there are some value. But I would say the majority of people in the world don't care, I think. And when they don't care, the market will drive the development. And this is, you know, coming from a business school, we see a lot of examples in the technology history whereby it's the market that trumps the technology. So when there is no market, there is no technology.
Yeah, internet was an evolution, so it has certain things missing. One of this thing missing is the trust element. One of the things missing is that still organizations are working across silos, so total automations is not possible. So this is where blockchain can help, but it would not be like a big blockchain whereby everybody is going to stamp something. It would going to evolve. Banks could come up with a KYC consortium. Some insurance companies would come having their own chains. Government would have their own chains. There would be trade finance processes for that. There would be different chains. And then there would be interoperability among them. So it will work in an evolutionary manner. So if we say about that, okay, blockchain is one big thing, so that kind of comparison will not happen. Similarly, internet is the similar thing, right? That it is not just one thing, it is very number of decentralized components that work together to give that impression. So still, things will evolve, so that's how things are going to work out.
I believe that everybody loves freedom. Everybody loves potential. And the internet certainly brought that to all of us. But when you copy somebody's property and even sell it for money, that is not fair. And blockchain is going to make it impossible. So therefore, it is a paradigm shift. It will change the way, or it is changing actually, the way that business is operating. We've seen that in the financial industry, where blockchain is being used by countless institutions. A lot of banks have gotten together. We have cryptocurrencies where Ripple is actually working with a lot of banks. We have option exchanges. A new one was just announced, and it will become live tomorrow in the UK for Litecoin. And smart contracts are actually changing the way that businesses are being managed, making them more efficient, making the transactions quicker, making them cheaper, and allowing millions of people protection in terms of land registry, allowing them to wire transfer money to their families far away on the other side of the ocean for a fraction of the price they had to pay and in a fraction of the time. So the paradigm shift that I have in mind is disintermediation. Because obviously what we have seen in history in general, in biology as well, the big devour the small. And the only way to actually empower individuals is to build upon technology like blockchain, which is going to allow peer-to-peer transactions, which is going to disintermediate the big companies that have been taking commissions which were exorbitant and not fair. So that's why I think it's key. Lucas?
I came today with Uber. Huh? So it's nice to use Uber, but it's not very social because the driver gets about 200 zlotys a day, and then he has also deduction because he has to use the car. And Uber, at the beginning, they took 10%, then 15%, and now it's 25%. You know, so it's a digital monopoly. And the same goes with Spotify. Artist doesn't get a lot of money. so you don't have a lot of invention in music industry. I was born in the, I was young in the 80s, so we had nice music, and so they copied the music of the 80s, and with low cost, they do a lot of low-cost productions. So I think blockchain could also enhance the quality, and I think you're completely right with the intellectual property, because this you have artificial intelligence, of course, but you have creativity, which also you can produce or develop intellectual property. And that is an asset, and you can earn money in the future, and it has to be protected. And I think what for me is really important to see that blockchain, of course, in the banking sector, if it comes to trade financing, this, a big deal takes you some days. It will, with blockchain technology, will take you 4 hours, approximately. So the lawyer is really at risk. I think the lawyer, they have to learn programming, that they understand the smart contracts. And I think one other thing is important, it's also blockchain can protect privacy. And this is really important when it comes to pharmaceutical industry, So blockchain on one hand, how you can have open source platform, and how you deal with patient data. Because I'm as a patient, I don't want to my insurer hasn't to know that maybe I have a special risk for special cancer, because I want to be insured, otherwise you don't have a solidarity in the health sector. So, and I see the big companies, Roche, Novartis, Pfizer, they exactly see the potential of blockchain for patient treatment, that you have a more personalized treatment. So for me, blockchain is to have more quality when it comes to our life. So that is a big opportunity.
Anheuser-Busch just announced that they're going to be using blockchain for their advertising. But go ahead.
But I like the healthcare example a lot. I think this is exactly an example where I think we really have to look at the responses of the people and the market. Think about it. I mean, if I'm a patient, I'll be perfectly happy to have all of these recorded in a blockchain, and I have my data transparently being able to be shared with other medical practitioners that I want to have, and so on. Think of it this way. If you are the medical practitioner, do you want to record your professional opinion on a blockchain? I mean, think of it from this angle, right? This is going to put myself in a tremendous amount of legal risk if I make any wrong recommendation or whatsoever. And in fact, today, I'm not sure about in this region, but at least when I see a doctor in Hong Kong, most of the time, none of them would allow you to do any recording. They wouldn't want you to have any possible traces of affirmative advice they give because of the legal liability, potential legal liability. And this is exactly a kind of situation where I think, blockchain sounds fantastic. A lot of people may not think the same.
Yeah, what I will try to once again emphasize that this is how things evolve. Some things have benefits, and if we compare two things, that technology by itself cannot be adopted. It is the people that adopt it, it is the organizations that will adopt it, so a lot of opinion required to be changed. Take the examples that when the first time the cars were invented, so what used to happen? The cars would go there, it would require some fuel, it was a road which was not there, a bumpy road was there, the car used to get stuck, and then sometimes the engine used to seize out, and what people used to say that, see, the horse is a better thing. It can go around anywhere, anything can happen, I can do with anything, with less cost I can run this particular thing. But the problem was not with the car, the problem was that infrastructure was required. So as the technology evolved, that infrastructure evolved with it. So now you don't see horses. It was like kind of flipped, that the rich now has the horses and everybody has the car, and previously everybody has the horses and rich had the cars, right? So similarly, the technology will evolve. That's why I am saying that the paradigm shift, it is there, it is on that right path, and that infrastructure is being set up. Organizations would sort out the technical issues. People will sort out those particular technological issues. Like, for example, you specified about a privacy-related thing, right? Those kind of things could be solved technologically. Now, the next thing is based on the people opinion that I would not want to do that. So maybe a regulator will enforce the people and the organizations that know you have to do it. When it's a slam from the top, you will have to do it, right? So these things will evolve, and then ultimately the direction is right. What I say is that it is toward this paradigm shift, that the world will realize that, okay, everything needs to be on the blockchain, basically.
You do know, and you will agree, I'm sure, that blockchain can actually save lives. Do you know how? Actually, if you use blockchain, for example, in the aviation industry, right now you have different parts providers, different companies servicing the plane, which are in separate silos. And when you need them to cooperate, it's based on a very inefficient process. So one day you're going to be in the air, and suddenly one of the parts is not going to function well. And that can end up with the death of a few hundred people. With blockchain, it's seamless. You know exactly when which part may break, and therefore you can protect lives, not only property, not only intellectual property, not only efficiency of operations, but literally lives, thanks to blockchain. That's why I believe that the potential of this technology is amazing.
You can also use, they have a trial to use vouchers based on blockchain in refugee camps. And as you know, United Nations, they work on a digital identity for the world population. I think this is also an issue we have to bear in mind.
That's right.
The
It's
development
E-Estonia, yes?
Yes, based on blockchain. And also in Switzerland, you know, we have the Crypto Valley in Zug. I invite all the Polish startups to come and visit Zug. So there we also
If you're already at it, can you tell us how well Zug is operating, why it's so attractive, and what Poland could do to become as attractive as Zug Valley?
Okay. I think in Switzerland we have a liberal framework when it comes to financial industry. So it's a framework that you save the integrity of the financial location, but also that you trust the enterprises to have also self-regulations, and that is a very flexible framework. Then I think what is important in Switzerland, why people are coming to Switzerland, it's an open place. So, you know, Switzerland we have 4 official languages, we have over 20% foreigners, so it's an international place, and we have a lot of good infrastructure. Also, that also means that you need public administration, which is efficient and anticipating. I think that these very strong factors, and of course we have also Federal Institute of Technology, which is I think in the ranking it's 7, just after Cambridge and Oxford. So it's this cluster, and I think for innovative solution you need a good cluster, and you also need an open culture. You know, I think you have to more think in a network than in a hierarchical pyramid, which is often the case in Poland. But I have some hopes in Poland. I see, you know, there are plans to have a biotechnology cluster in Warsaw. So I think, and I see many young Polish people very innovative, and that's why they also look for open and liberal environments as Switzerland.
I have recently come back from Gibraltar, which is great in terms of jurisdiction in gaming, which is to some extent similar. And they're working on a full-blown regulation which will make blockchain a very, very attractive industry after gaming in Gibraltar. Gentlemen, it's a question to all of you. Which jurisdiction, because obviously we have sandboxes with mass making it happen. In Singapore, for example, we have Hong Kong doing similar things. We have Bermuda, we have Malta, we have Gibraltar, we have Switzerland, UK, Germany, etc. What do you think, which jurisdiction do you think is currently the most attractive from a point of view of supporting blockchain and cryptocurrencies and ICOs and everything that's related to it, and which one will eventually dominate if that is going to happen?
Yeah, if you talk about United Arab Emirates, don't talk about the crypto and the ICO angle.
Can I stop you there? I don't know if you guys know, but the Sheikh of Dubai who is a very powerful man because he's the president of United Emirates and the deputy prime minister, has announced the goal that by the year 2020, Dubai is 21. He moved it. Initially it was 2020, then he moved it to 2021. Dubai is supposed to be the happiest place on the planet. I want you to realize who is talking.
Yeah, see, by 2021, the agenda from the very top is that it should be paperless because it has the implication on the customer happiness goals. And if you have heard the talks, Dr. Sohail Munir, who is from Dubai Smart Government, he emphasized the same thing as well. Now, in blockchain adoption, what happens is that in order to come up with the systems for the blockchain, the adoption has certain challenges. Like, for example, say 2 banks are there, or there are 5 or 10 banks. Together, since they are competitors, they will not sit across the table and design a kind of a solution on the blockchain. That would be very, very much difficult. But let's say if the regulator or the government says that, okay, we need to have the blockchain because we have to get the paper out of the way, then the chances of the adoption becomes very, very much, because now you have to do it. You don't have any other option. So that's how, with Dubai, what they have done is that with all the government departments, they have introduced certain KPIs. That, okay, Director General of this particular health department, you have to do something this year on blockchain. So ultimately what happens that they are forced to think together how to actually get value out of the technology. So that's why there are a lot of requests for proposals going around for the blockchain in Dubai.
So are you saying Dubai is going to be the #1 or Gibraltar, or which would you vote for?
In most of the jurisdiction, what is happening is that it is around facilitating the cryptocurrencies or the ICOs. Here the goal is not around the cryptocurrencies or ICOs. The goal is to get benefit out of the technology for the perspective of getting the customer happiness, right? So it is the other way around. Technology is just a piece to be fit to the overall objective
to get to the goal.
Yeah.
I think for us, it's also, we're not a crypto nation. We want to be one of the leading fintech and blockchain nations on this globe. I think what I mentioned, it's a liberal framework. When it comes to regulation, I think what is important that we have a common terminology. You need this, and at the moment there is no common terminology. And I think also because we don't know what will be the next developments, we have to be very careful how to regulate. And the first step we have to do is to monitor the market. What will be the impacts on the financial stability and so on. And I think what is really on the top when it comes, it's against money laundering and financing the terrorism. There we are a little bit more active. We don't see that we need a big coordination, international coordination, but we need coordination on specific areas. And then what is also important, that the civil society stands behind digital transformation. So we founded Digital Switzerland, and I'm happy that I could also help to promote Digital Poland. So you need also a common understanding, and then you will also gain acceptance for new technologies. So I wouldn't vote for Switzerland because I'm neutral. So, but I think the directions, the main directions are clear for everybody, how to go and what are the do's and don'ts.
Do you have a different candidate?
No. The short answer is no. Obviously, I'm an academic, so I don't really know the different countries well enough to predict which one is going to be a leader. But on the other hand, I think one of the problem that I see today in terms of blockchain use or implementation is that the legal definition and also the laws now related to digital currency or digital transactions are highly unclear in most countries. And in fact, setting aside blockchain, even if we are talking about things that are already affecting us every day, such as cybersecurity or cybercrime, in most countries, the laws are still ambiguous at best, and lots of unknown territory in that space. So if we really want to tip which country is going to be a leader, I would rather go by which country has a more flexible legal system that can facilitate the country to experiment. And the countries that are more liberal, that are more open-minded in terms of adapting their law, will have a better chance of taking a lead, I think. But obviously, this already means that in a lot of developed economies, we'll have some way to go before we can get there.
This is a great statement and a very true statement. Because on one side, obviously, everybody remembers about Bitcoin being used by the Silky Way and drug trafficking and things like that because of the anonymity it provides. On the other side, if you're too tough on the KYCs and anti-money laundering and you actually make it very stiff, then the world is going to go by and it will go forward, and the jurisdiction that will not be able to be flexible enough are going to be left alone. But there's one other thing I wanted to mention, because we've been saying wonderful, at least I was saying, things which are good about blockchain, but I don't know if you realize, according to researchers, blockchain is going to lead to a loss of jobs to around 47 or 50% of society, which obviously could be disruptive in a very negative way. Because right now, it's, like I said, the creative class, but not everybody is creative. So what are we going to do in this new society? Ali.
Okay, so what will happen is that menial tasks that we do, those kind of jobs would be taken by blockchain, because in multiple organizations there is an army which is just reconciling the ledgers, right? So that class will go away with the blockchain.
But we're talking about lawyers as well. We're talking about actuaries.
I'm just completing
Okay,
the thing. Other thing is artificial intelligence. With artificial intelligence, a lot of other manual jobs will go away. IoT will come and there would be smart cities and everything would be working in harmony. So what humans, as humans, we were made to be creative. We were made to be actually interacting with each other. So those kind of jobs cannot go away, right? A creative content designer, no technology can replace that particular person. Now, with this technology, to manage and maintain that technology, there would be a lot of new jobs that would be created, right? So blockchain experts or the AI experts specific to a specific industry, because these are machines and they will fail, right? So a lot of new kind of job description will emerge out. And even like, for example, we never used to have YouTube related video content producer in the previous world where things were not like that. But now people are actively doing marketing over there, right? So new business models will evolve and things would be fine, yeah.
We have to finish soon, so very short, please.
Okay, we had one of the last persons, it was Madame de Meuron. She was one of the last female, noble female. And she asked normally people in Bern, ziet jemand oder nehmt loon? In English, are you somebody or do you get a wage? So I just would like to remind that this idea of industrial work is just a very short period, and it will change. So we also have to change our social policies, which are also linked to this industrial model. And I think the value of equality will remain, and I think politicians, they really have to think what will be the model, how we will work. I think there's a lot of work. I think for education, you need good teachers. So teacher will be, I think we will be more interested in art, so you have to have more artists. Lawyers, I think there will be many smart contracts, and there will be more programmers. So, but I'm quite happy maybe not to work from 9 to 5, so to dedicate to things.
We'll tax machines
yes.
instead of people.
Oh, I see the storage company Renus, then you have people, you know, young people, young Polish people, they do data storage. It's such a boring work. I'm so happy that there will be a robot, a very artificial intelligence solving these problems. It's not human, this work.
Do you have one last word?
Well, I'm not worried at all. The reason being, the same kind of threat has happened. I always like to compare with the internet. Back then, people were predicting that all the travel agencies would disappear after the internet came into the picture. Today, travel agencies are everywhere. What they are doing is just different from what they used to do 20 years ago. If blockchain ever become really an infrastructural technology that provides large value to people, we just have to find some other value. Human being always has value, all right? If things can be automated, we add value to that automation, and this is where we are heading, I think.
Okay, I don't know if you realize, but we actually live in a totally new world. We have created 2.5 quintillion of data, 90% of which was created in the last 2 years. And 80% of it is dark matter. If we don't manage that data, one day we're going to be inundated. And the ones who are going to be smart enough to actually be able to control and manage that data are going to be the ones who are going to control the world. And the last thing, according to Raymond Kurzweil, in this century, we're going to go through 20,000 years of technological progress. And that is at today's rate. So it's critical for all of us as individuals to participate in this new economy, to understand the new technologies, just to be able to survive and actually thrive, not to be set aside. So please remember that. And now I just wanted to ask quickly whether you have any questions.
Supporting artificial intelligent machines with a legal personality, and also linked it with some blockchain technology. And how about some prospects for the labor market in terms of this, the huge unemployment perspectives? What do you think about this?
Gentlemen?
Yeah, see, what is going to ultimately happen is because efficiencies are what people are after, right? So these kind of things like blockchain adoption and this labor class, it is at a lower dimension of the society, right? So they don't dictate things. So those who are above, they will get this efficiency. So these kind of things will come ultimately. Artificial intelligence would be there, blockchain would be there, and smart cities would be there as well. So what best could be done is that the workforce is prepared towards actually supporting those particular areas. Because at the end of the day, it is technology. I was talking to someone and they told me that in South Korea or somewhere, have you heard about this technology called RPA, Robotic Process Automation? So it delivers and gets rid of a lot of manual jobs. Because what happens is that whatever a human is doing on the screens, it can go do screen scrapping and in the background do all the particular tasks. So there the government has put some kind of a thing that if a company wants to implement RPA, it is taxed more. And whatever that tax money comes, they put it into training people into these kind of technologies. So those kind of models need to be adopted by the government so that they are prepared that when this kind of a world comes, the workforce is actually prepared. So I don't know, maybe it answered your question or...
I think with this revolution, it will also touch the middle class in the short term. So lawyers and all, and we can see now the Deutsche Bank licensed 10,000 people. I think one of the first areas of application we didn't talk about this is supply chain management. So and this also will have a huge impact. So I think we really have to think about from a government perspective what will be the new social policy and how we will tax the value chain. Because you will not tax salaries anymore because the industrial work is in decline. It's a process, it has started 25 years ago.
This is the best time that humanity has ever had. Just very, very recently, 2 Slovenians who used to work in the London city have created a company that allows you to avoid banking fees when you do foreign exchange and when you travel to foreign countries. And the world has become smaller and smaller. They just had a new issue and they raised $250 million at a valuation of 1.7 billion. i.e., you guys can become incredibly rich and incredibly influential in a time unheard of before. So what I would like to do is finish with the quote from Steve Jobs. I'm sure you've heard it. Here is to the crazy ones, because only people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Thank you very much.